Hello, everyone. Lexi Rodrigo here, and welcome to my very first Facebook Live broadcast. In this broadcast, I'm going to talk about my top 3 tips for writing a standout post. Now, before I go on, is everybody able to hear and see me okay? All right, I hope so. It's my first time using this platform, Facebook Live and BeLive TV. So if I mess things up, don't be surprised. All right. So welcome. Thank you, Patricia. All right, let's get started. So the essential first step. Now you want to write a blog post where you add value to your readers. You don't want to write a blog post where you're rehashing what has already been written about your topic. So the essential first step before you write your first word is to find out what your competition is. So go and find out what are the top 5 to 10 blog posts that are ranking for that specific topic that you want to write about. And how do you find out? Well, you can use Google. I recommend that you use Chrome in incognito mode so that the search results won't be affected by your search behavior or your geographical location. And if you have a tool like SEMrush, then go ahead and use that to find out what are these blog posts that are already ranking for the specific topic that you want to write about. And then you will know which of the following tips you need to use, okay, to write your blog post. So you have to find out what is the competition, what are you up against, first of all. So that is the essential first step. And here come the tips. Tip number 1 is tell and then show by giving examples. Now, you're an expert in your topic, right? And this is why you're writing this particular blog. But sometimes we suffer from the curse of knowledge. Have you heard of that phrase? The curse of knowledge is when you know a subject so well that you take for granted that everybody else knows what you do, and you think that your knowledge is common sense when in fact it's not. And, just keep in mind, the person who's reading your blog post, they clicked on the link, they clicked on the title, they went to your blog because they don't know as much as you do and they want to learn from you. So don't assume that they know what you think they already know. And giving examples is a great way to help them to truly understand what it is you're trying to say. So, for example, when I wrote a blog post about the 5 different ways to write, the 5 best ways to write an introduction for your blog. So for each way, I picked a specific example, a specific blog post, complete with a screenshot of the introduction of that blog post. Okay, so did I remember to say everything I wanted to say about that tip? Yes. Let's move on to tip number 2. Tip number 2 is to break it down. So again, when we tell people to go and do something, we tend to assume that they know how to do it. For example, remember earlier I told you to use Chrome in incognito mode? If I were writing this as a blog post, I wouldn't stop there. Because if I did, and you didn't know how to do that, then you would have to Google it. Like, what is Chrome incognito, or how do I use Chrome incognito? Which means you're going to leave my site. You're going to leave my blog. So instead, I'm going to assume that you don't know how to do that. And in my blog post, I will say, okay, to search for the topic in incognito mode, do this. First of all, step 1, step 2, step 3. So break it down into actionable steps. And here's another good example of a blogger who's really good at this. It's Neil Patel. So if you're not familiar with Neil yet, go ahead and look for his blog. I believe it's Crazy Egg. And he does this with every blog post. You will see that when he tells you, like he gives advice to do something, it's always broken down into step 1, 2, 3, however many steps, complete with screenshots. All right. And last tip is to be a maverick. Okay, so and this is the most difficult tip, because by maverick, I mean you have to contribute something that's unique and different in your blog post. And to be honest, it's not always going to be possible to do this. I mean, there are just some topics where there's nothing new under the sun, right? But when you have the opportunity to do so, this is the best thing to do for your blog post, because this is really the way that you're going to become an authority in your industry, is when you're saying something new. And what do I mean by something new? Like a new insight, an insight that's never been written about before. And again, you will know this by doing your research beforehand, right? Or by suggesting something that's contrary to popular belief, or what most people think or believe or know about a particular subject. If you can present a contrarian view, then that's how your blog post is going to be a standout blog post. What else? Maybe you could reinforce a popular belief, but introduce a nuance to it. Like you could say, yes, this is true, but it's only true in conditions A, B, and C, and it doesn't apply in condition D and E. So does that make sense? So, all right. So just to summarize, the top 3 tips. Well, first of all, before you write your blog post, go to Google or go to SEMrush or a similar tool and find out what are the ranking blog posts for that specific topic, and then decide which of the following tips they're not doing yet. Okay. So tip number 1 is to give examples, plenty of examples, so your readers will know exactly what you're trying to tell them. Tip number 2 is to break things down into actionable steps so that they don't have to leave your blog post to find out how to do it. And tip number 3 is to be a maverick and to write a fresh insight, a fresh angle, a fresh take on the topic. And there you have it. That's the top 3 tips that I have for you today. Do you have any questions? Please post them in the comments while I grab some tea. Anything? Patricia, Stephanie, Erica? Thank you. Thank you so much for joining me. This has been a blast. If there's any other topic you'd like me to cover in a future Facebook Live broadcast, again, type it in the comments and I will get to that. I promise. Bye-bye. And I don't know what's going to happen when I click this. Happy Valentine's Day, everyone.